right, so example 1. This lesson is pretty similar, or it's honestly the same as yesterday's lesson. We're just getting extra practice on it. So for today, as you saw, you will need to show your work. That's going to be a requirement. And when you show your work, you have two options, as I said. You could either have a piece of paper and a pencil and a pen, or what you could do is you could literally type your work here. And I will show you both ways. So now if you don't have paper, you could just type your work instead. So you have an option. Okay, so it says find the distance between -7 and 6. And I'm going to follow the CFS here to help me out because you don't have a number line. So the whole point is to check or find the distance between two numbers without a number line, and that's the most important thing. So step number 1 is set up my absolute value because the distance is always absolute value. So that's step 1. And then step 2 tells us subtract the two given numbers. So these two numbers need to be subtracted. So I'm going to take -7 and subtract that with 6. Okay, now if you aren't using paper and pencil, you could put this on the side here and put your work side by side with your digital, with your worksheet or your Google Forms so that you can type as I'm showing you how to do this. And so just so you know, this line right here is the absolute value sign. It's right on top of the enter sign. And to find the absolute or to type the absolute value sign, you press shift and then you press this button, the straight line right here, and it's going to give you a bar. So then you would also do -7 minus 6, and then you close the absolute value sign. Okay, and then you put equals, and the equals button is right here. Okay, so we know that we have -7 minus 6, and a lot of us made this mistake here. And the first thing I want to say is, remember I told you guys yesterday, because of PEMDAS, it's actually supposed to be GEMDAS. And instead of a P, it should be a G. And the G stands for groupings, which means it could be parentheses, it could be brackets, it could be absolute value. And what it's saying is you have to solve what's inside first. So I have to solve what's inside of here first before I take the absolute value of the numbers. So you don't take absolute value of -7 and -6 and turn them positive. No, you have to solve what's inside of this first. So what I'm going to do is rewrite this as addition, just to show you guys that, because a lot of you guys were making this mistake, this would be the same as -7 plus -6 if you wanted. You don't have to, but if you wanted, because it might help you find your answer. And so remember, you're losing 6 here, which means it cannot just be +6. It has to be plus -6 to show the loss of that value. So now I have 7 negatives plus 6 negatives. That equals 13 negatives, right? 7 negatives plus 6 negatives gives me 13 negatives. And so your answer would be the absolute value of -13, which is 13, because that's the absolute value. And so the biggest thing that I want you to realize is that first, you subtract the two numbers. Second, when you rewrite this, subtraction is always adding a negative, not just addition. And then we take the absolute value at the end of your final answer. So then I'll take the absolute value of -13, which is 13. And feel free to type this, right? So you would do, if you're using the digital notebook, you would type -7 plus -6. etc. I mean, you could do this yourself, but just showing you that this is possible for you to show your work without paper today. And it would just look like that, which equals 13. Just like that. Okay, so now, so I found the absolute value of the difference, right, of your final answer. So that's done. All 3 steps are finished. The last step is up to you to check the answer on the number line. I know some of you, if you don't have a piece of paper, you might not be able to do this. You could search up a number line to check, right? Or you could draw out a number line. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is why you actually have to know how to do this without a number line, because sometimes it's going to give you really big numbers and drawing a number line just will feel like a hassle. So I drew this one out from -7 to 6 because it's asking me the distance between these 2 numbers, these 2 given numbers. So don't focus on this. You would focus on what it's asking you. And then I would count. So the distance between -7 and 6. And then I would count the spaces. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, until my answer is 13. And then you just type it right here. There you go.